Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, you still awake? Nancy Hughes.
Apparently. I was asked to come before the council and give some project updates. So tonight I'm going to be discussing 3 projects, and then I think for the first council meeting in March, I think we need to put on the agenda, and I'll talk with Joyce. I think we need to have a detailed discussion about the paving project. But for tonight, I'll start with a project that's under construction right now, and that's the sludge processing facilities improvements out of the wastewater treatment plant. The project is on schedule right now. As of the end of January, the project was 71% complete, and 77% of the contract time has been used, so that's pretty good. The project completion date is March 31st. We do have progress meetings the first Monday of every month, so our next meeting is on March 4th. Steve tries to attend those as he can, but anyone can come if they want to know what's going on.
Public meeting.
What's that?
It's a public meeting.
It is, yeah, anyone can come. A couple of some of the major construction items that have been completed, keeping it pretty short. The new digester cover and mixer have been installed, painted and tested. The underground piping is complete except for a couple of tie-ins and then testing, which will hopefully start next week. The new building structure is complete, so if you haven't been down there, you should. It looks a little different. There have been new pumps and building piping installation that's almost complete. A new boiler for the heating digester sludge is in place. There's a new electrical service to the plant. Motor control center in the new building is in place, and the electrician has started installing building electrical wire. Some of the major construction items that are left to be completed is continuing installation of the equipment inside the building. There's a gas flaring equipment that needs to be installed, paving of the new plant road and parking, and then finish grading and seeding.
Is this all at the east?
Yep.
Plant? Okay.
Just to give you guys kind of a summary, in case you don't know, but the project is being funded through the State Revolving Fund and through an iJobs grant. The iJobs grant in the amount of $550,000. Joyce and I worked on the reimbursement for that, and I believe it was last month that those funds were placed into the city account. We're working to close on the SRF loan this month, and all the costs that have been spent by the city up to this point will be reimbursed at that time, and then as you guys are continuing to spend money over the next several months, those will be coming in on a monthly basis. So we'll get caught up and then start getting those reimbursements on a monthly basis.
Great.
The other thing I wanted to point out, because there are a couple change orders on the agenda, you have approved, if you approve these tonight, you will have approved 5 change orders totaling about $35,500 or so. There's a contingency fund of about $118,000 just for potential unexpected costs. We weren't sure what we were going to find with underground piping, electrical. There really wasn't a whole lot known. So just to kind of make sure that you guys understand that we're still, even with approval of change orders, the budget is still looking very, very good. Yeah. We're getting pretty close to the end, so that's that. Do you guys have any questions on that project?
Not on that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Safe routes to school is the next one. We're in the process of the plan review with the DOT. It's quite a lengthy process. So we started that in January. Final plans turn in is in March. And in the meantime, we're also working with acquiring easements. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with Jason Oglesby and George Johnson, who are leading that effort. There are several things. There are easements that have already been obtained for the project, but those easements expired in September. So Mike Craver has drafted basically an easement that extends that time frame. So they'll be going to all those residents and trying to get them to sign off on an extension. There's going to need to be new easements acquired from Terry to Liberty because we're extending the project along there and we don't have easements. And then working on getting permanent easements from the 4 properties on Cottage Street so that we can get that sidewalk 6 foot wide instead of 4 foot wide. Those easements have to be secured by the time the final plan turn-in, which is like the end of March. So we need to get moving on it. We will have a June letting. It'll all be done through the DOT. They handle that. And then hopefully be able to get construction started in July. It can take 4 to sometimes even 6 weeks to get your contracts put together. But and then the DOT actually sets the construction completion date, but we're really hoping that they'll give us through the end of September, 3 months. Last time they gave the project 21 days, which was ridiculous. So we do have some say in that. I don't know that they'll give us that amount of time, but so if things go well, we're looking at construction July through September-ish.
Wonderful.
Any questions on that? The other project that's going to be starting up here pretty soon is your basically your sewer lining project, the next phase, the phase 5 project. The letting for that was a while ago. The contract was awarded. They just have chosen not to start yet, which we gave them plenty of time. They are planning to start in mid-April. They have to have the project done by the beginning of November. The budget is about $1.7 million, and the amount spent to date is about $105,000. So you'll start to see pay applications from the contractor coming through pretty soon. So those are the 3 projects that we have going on, with the exception of the paving project, and we'll discuss that in detail at the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Appreciate it very much.
I'll stay here in case you have any questions about the change orders, but I think they're pretty straightforward.
I think everybody's had a chance to see those change orders.
Motion to approve change order number 4.
Been moved and seconded to approve change order number 4 with Oakview GCK LLC. Any discussion? Any further? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising a hand. Thank you.
Motion to approve change order number 5.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve change order number 5 with Oakview DCK LLC. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising a hand, please. Thank you. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Denise.
Yep.
Approve form of tax exemption certificate and loan and disbursement agreement. What is this?
That has to do with the following one, the 1.3 million.
Okay.
Motion to approve the
Tax exemption.
the certificate and the loan and disbursement agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded to approve the tax exemption certificate and loan and disbursement agreement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Okay, now, resolution, which I guess on resolution, we'll have to have a roll call. This is resolution 2013-3173, authorizing and providing for the issuance and securing the payment of $1,382,000 for sewer revenue capital loan notes, Series 2013.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been the motion and second to approve the resolution, which I just read. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, roll call vote. Second.
Aye.
Hamilton.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Morrison.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Randy Brown and Justine Heffern, along with some other people, are here to explain why the YMCA is such an important asset to this community. Welcome. Welcome, short timer, I guess. Randy is Randy's moving on.
First of all, just want to thank everyone for your support last year in the sustaining campaign for the YMCA. We're able to serve a lot of people through our sustaining, through scholarships and different programs that don't cover their costs. So, and actually that's more than 2,000 individuals in the Athens County area as we look at that. So appreciate that, first of all. In the packet, you should have our strategic plan, which I'll make 3 very quick comments about. And as you said, short timer. So don't forget the strategic plan is still me here. So,
Oh yeah, the plan's still here.
and we have a tremendous board, and we have tremendous need to keep a YMCA in this community as we move forward. Relatively, no matter who it is that's leading it. But as we look at the strategic plan, the first program that I want to talk about that through membership that we strengthen to help quality programming to produce membership is the Healthy Living Program this year that is in collaboration with Mercer Hospital. It's a program that allows us to have physical therapists from the hospital come to the YMCA and work with patients who otherwise probably wouldn't have the opportunity to get back to an active life. And very important program because they're able to bill insurance companies for their costs in the program up to 80%. So that's a huge program. We've been working on that for about 3 years. So we launched that as part of our strategic plan. We also have a new program director to improve the quality of our youth programs. If you look at the statistics, we still serve more than 600 youth in youth development that learn sports pledges, respect, responsibility through sports at the YMCA. So that's very important. And then thirdly, we opened our new wellness center, which was a 1,400 square foot expansion of our wellness center into our gymnasium. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure and stop down. We did that project with a lot of in-kind donations, and we're able to open it in early January. So very proud of that. So there is a strategic plan in place for the YMCA to keep it vital in the community. The proposal is the next 2 pages in your packet. And I'll just say a couple of things about the first paragraph. The YMCA is in the community not just for facilities and a place to play basketball and a place to swim. One of our goals is to prevent diabetes and to discontinue obesity. And all of those things come down to having a place where everybody belongs, regardless of race, regardless of who you are, age, and the YMCA serves everyone from 3 months old, to 98-year-old. You know, you're always welcome at the YMCA.
Even short people?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So those are some of the key things from and the chronic disease piece is the Healthy Living Program now, that we're helping people who are suffering. And we have the highest statistics in Iowa in chronic disease. So we need a YMCA here to help us with those pieces. You can see the numbers for yourself. You can see our corporate sponsors through membership. Our goal actually tonight is to hopefully request that you will consider the $10,000 gift again for sustaining that you did last year as you proceed into your budget. And what we're finding is we can operate through programs and membership, but when the YMCA facilities begin to crumble around us, and that comes out of operations, it's difficult for us when our compressors go out and our air conditioners, and we've got old boilers in a facility that's really crumbling. So we're challenged with that. And what we're doing is going back to our 6 or 7 largest sustaining contributors and asking them to support a maintenance reserve. And we are requesting another additional $10,000 for that. And that will be up to you in your budget process. But those dollars are not operating dollars. As you'll see in the last page of your packet, those will be just for mechanical equipment, building and grounds upgrades, so that it can't just be used monthly. It has to be approved by our board for a particular project. So that if our boiler goes, that money is there in that account. And our goal is to raise $60,000 this year to continue to multiply that for the future so we can keep the Y viable in the community. So that is basically our proposal. I'll take questions or comments. Once again, we appreciate your support and we appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
I would just like to add one thing. Randy's probably not going to let me talk. So, but it's so necessary to our community. And you know, we're not against enterprise businesses. The SNAP, I came by tonight, and SNAP is just loaded the parking lot, which is great. I'm glad people are using it. But then the kids, it's the children of the community that aren't going to be able to use SNAP. And then even those that can't afford the Y, then we do the scholarships. So, and little did I know when I would help plan the for the rehab, I'm going to use it myself.
Yeah.
So, and really, it's just to bring our community together and such a necessary thing. And I know that it's not easy with the budget, I know that. But if you can squeeze anything out, if you got any wiggle room, we'd love to have it.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Council, take some action.
I think the original 10,000, I think we're fairly assured of doing that, but the extra 10 we'll have to see where we're at.
Yes.
I talked to Jim and I talked to get the ball game on that place. I like, they're gonna have to switch it,
So, make a motion.
I think this will all come out in the hearing, the budget hearing.
So, commit now and then?
We'll have a
well,
better idea.
I thought it was pretty much assured that the first 10,000 was going to be in the budget. That's what I thought.
Can't get the council to do something they don't want to do, so I guess that's fair. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Sure. George Johnson. George is still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
We're going to be asking for approval to demolish the collapsed building at 218, kind of finished demolishing it here, at 218 East Jackson.
Well, that was my original intent for tonight, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do that tonight. We have a building in the 200 block East Jackson that it's a commercial building. The rear half of it collapsed during those winds that we had just a couple of weeks ago. 2 walls fell down. 1 wall was part of a adjoining business. The property owner doesn't have any money, has no funds to do any demolition on his own. He says that he will be willing to sign it over to the city so the city can clean it up. The question is, does the city want it? It's a commercial property. That means that it will have to meet the asbestos abatement requirements set out by the DNR for Iowa. I contacted DNR today to see what kind of restrictions we might have and see if there's any good things that we might be able to do to get that building down at the least amount of money. And I have 3 ways that we can do it according to DNR, and it's going to be costly.
All 3 ways are going to be costly.
Correct. The first way would be if we have it taken down as it sits right now with the building being in such a mess, it would all be considered asbestos 100%. It would have to be removed from the site by an abatement team, and that's going to be very costly. Second way is to do a water containment method where the material is washed in water and the water is contained on site and later removed. That would also have to be done by an asbestos removal company, very expensive. And the third way, which has never been done in Iowa, but it could possibly be approved, and that's to get the director of the DNR's approval to do a burial on site. And I don't know how feasible that might be. Part of the building that came down into the basement. Half of that building does have a basement. It's not full from the debris that fell in it. The standing half of the building may be pushed in and may fill up the basement, but I don't think we're going to have enough basement for that, so we might have to do some digging if that was even approved. So those are the three things that we can do if we tackle it. It's the same kind of three things that a private individual would have to do if they was to tackle it. The big problem is it's a commercial building, and commercial buildings have more restrictions on how they're treated when it comes to the demolition. The other thing that we need to consider is the location of the building. It goes from Jackson Street to the alley. It's near the heart of the commercial district in our community. There's public sidewalks and other businesses in the vicinity. So to just leave it alone and let it stay as it is for any period of time is probably going to be a matter of public safety. So in my opinion, we need to get something started on it. It's just who's going to fund it. The property owner has said that he would sign it over to the city. If we were able to get a director's approval and we could bury the building on site, the only thing you can ever put on that property is a parking lot. It can never be built on again. And it has to be posted that it does contain asbestos on site. So that's where we stand on this, and I was hoping maybe by today I would have better information and get some costing on this, but I don't have that.
George, does the owner have any assets other than this building?
He has a home that he's living in. He has a mortgage on that until 2030. And that's the only other assets. He currently lives on about $700 a month.
Disability or something?
Pardon?
Is he on disability?
Yes, he is.
If this is happening all too often, and it's going to be the death of the city if we don't stop this one of these days. And I'd say anybody that thinks they can own a building and then find out 5 or 10 years later they can't, I'll just give it to the city. This has to end.
Well, one thing in the future that the city might consider is on real estate when it's put up for sale, it should be inspected before the sale. And if it doesn't meet the inspection standards, then it has to be improved before it gets sold.
Well, I'd say if there's any way we can attach something onto whatever assets, even if there's a mortgage, if there's any personal equity in that, in his house, we need it, because I'm sick and tired of doing this all the time.
I can understand that. This is just a guess on my part, just judging from the 3 houses that we demolition on Haynes Avenue. I think the lowest estimate you're probably going to get is going to be close to $20,000 to take this building or that building down. So if the city decides to take on that task, that's, you know, you might keep that in mind. that that's going to be the very best we're going to get.
We don't have any other options, do we?
Not at this point.
It's, do you need approval of the council tonight so you can move ahead with this, or do you want to
Well,
wait till you have?
the DNR is supposed to be getting in touch with me and come and actually take a look at the site, and maybe they'll be able to give me some recommendations. So I would like to come back and talk to the council in another 2 weeks. Maybe I can come up with some figures, estimates. It seems to be stable over there at this point. The front half of the building is still standing, but me and Councilman Hamilton went and looked at it, and that's about all we can say, because it's still standing.
What are those molds in there?
Well, the molds that you see is in the adjoining business.
Okay.
The wall came down that separates those two. The intention of that property owner is to remove the back half of their building, which means they're gonna have to take the roof off of it, because part of their east wall came down with the building to the east of it.
But I think we need to somehow in the future be more proactive with all these building owners, homeowners that are neglectful in taking care of their properties, so we don't have this happen as much in the future as we've had in the past, because they're using our resources that we could be doing much more with, more productive things, rather than just taking crap out and leaving an empty lot that's worth nothing.
Right. The only good thing on this would be if there was a parking lot there, that would be an improvement over what you already have there. There's no parking on that street, so. That's all I have. I just wanted to update you on what the current situation was, and I was hoping I'd have more than that tonight.
Okay, thanks, George.
Any chance for comments with George?
All right, go ahead, Jim.
George, give him a report about Jackson Street from east to west. I think it'd be very enlightening for our community.
Okay, east to west, I have
Go from west to east, either way, it's bad, either way.
starting at the end of West Jackson, which is near 5th Street. There's a pile of debris there that's been there for some time. We're getting very close to getting that removed. I have another house that's about 3 lots from that. Homeowner is actively in the middle, actively starting the demolition. They called me today to check on the cost of the demolition permit. They were served with a 120-day notice. They asked for a little extension on that since they're going to be dismantling themselves. So they are serious about getting it down. And we have another property that's almost directly across the street in the 700 block of West Jackson. It's currently in a estate, and the estate has agreed to fund the demolition of that house from that property. So in that 800 block of Jackson, West Jackson anyway, we're going to have 3 homes down probably within the next 3 months, I would guess. As you go further east on Jackson, of course, we have the commercial building that's came down, and who knows exactly how we're going to be able to handle that. But at the other end of Jackson, in the 900 block of East Jackson, we still have one property there that's in very bad shape, and I've talked with the city attorney, and there's a couple of ways that we think we could probably remedy that, but one of them will probably be that I'll be asking the city to fund it. But it's going to be a smaller house. It's in very bad shape, and we've talked about maybe having the fire department burn that particular building and have minimal cost on the removal of debris. But we'll have to jump through the hoops through DNR once we acquire the property. So,
George, just tell them how long it's taken on these projects. The oldest one, tell them how old it is.
the oldest one, Well, some of them I've been working on it for quite a while.
Did you say 3 years?
Oh, at least 3 years, I would say, for the West Jackson area.
Yeah. And the East Jackson, where all the crimes were committed, how long have you been working on that one?
Well, it's probably been 2 years or so. And there's many others around town that I've been working on about as the same length of time. You know, it's a lengthy process. It's a process that I try to get done as quick as possible, but it all amounts to one thing, funding and cooperation, so.
Thanks, George.
You bet. Anything else?
Yes, no. Thank you. Item T, consider the request from the BOV Bob Committee to solicit contributions at the intersections of Highway 2 and 5.
My name is Mike Thomas, and I'm here with Nancy Bennett. We're both members of the Bob Group. Maybe you're aware that the Bob Group is kind of a loose-knit organization that's committed to improving the appearance of Centerville and helping other groups with their fundraising efforts. We're here tonight in that we are asking the council to allow us to solicit for funds on May 18th, which is
Well, I thought you were going to go for the 25th.
25th. Is that the day?
That's
Armed Forces Day. We were talking about...
Armed Forces Day is the 18th.
Right. Armed Forces Day is the 18th. At the last meeting, we kind of thought maybe that would be a better day. We're also considering Memorial Day weekend, which would be the Saturday the 25th.
Right.
And basically what it amounts to is all of the proceeds, all of the money raised would be used for improvements at the what's now called the VFW Hall, formerly known as the old CB&Q depot on the levee. The veterans down there have taken on that building several years ago, and they have, like other groups, have needed some assistance. They're on a pretty limited budget and kind of a limited membership. And so we've been down there, and so far we've completely repainted the interior, made some many improvements in there. We've restored it to its more original colors. We've also taken on the project of redoing all the curbing around the building and resetting all the pavers. Our future projects include all new plumbing, water heater, and improvements to basically the plumbing in the bathrooms, some improvements in the kitchen. All of these are meant to help this group have a building that will help them generate some revenue to keep things going and to help preserve the building as it is. We hope that the community will support the veterans in this project, and we're hoping that you as a council will help us support that by allowing us to do these solicitations. Probably be about a 4-hour deal, and kind of in the morning, 9 to 1, something like that, and kind of like like Knights of Columbus do their Tootsie Roll Drive. That's the way we would probably operate it, with your permission.
We have 3 other members of the Bob Group here, by the way. Bob Green, Paul Kness, and Dan Hurt.
Make a motion to approve. Second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Bob Group soliciting at the intersection of 2 and 5, in effect for the VFW call. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion signify by raising a hand. Those opposed? It moves 3-2. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, up is Jeff Hill. Jeff Hill and Laura Kozlata. They have a request for, I'll explain to you, but for the city to help the hookups out at the new Terra Vista housing.
Got the whole group here. One of us come to buy it.
That's fine.
You want to talk to me?
Go ahead.
Basically, when Jeff and Laura bought the property, it was their understanding, and mine, and I think some people that work for the city, that there was electric on the property. I've got my information from what the city had here, and just some assumptions as well. Whenever they were starting the building process, they were told by Alliant it was going to cost $4,500 to get the electric ran. And that was because they needed to put a pedestal in there that would service 6 homes. Now that $4,500, whoever took the contract, and we're asking you to take the contract, and you would get a little bit cheaper, it'd be around $4,000. If 2 more homes go there that have gas heat in those 6 lots, which would be 5 left, you get your money back. If 1 more home would go there with electric heat in those other 5 lots, then you would get your money back. But basically, part of the city advertisement for the auction, and whenever they sold it, indicated that for be a building permit and customary utility hookup charges. I didn't get a chance to ask just the IHCC, which has built 3 homes out there, and they said they've always paid minimal charges to Alliance to hook up to the pedestal, and they never paid a pedestal charge. So with that assumption, my assumption is that we're asking you to pay that, take that contract over. We'll get the benefit of the money whenever it came in, and then we just figured that's what we were requesting for you guys to do.
Are you finished, Carl?
Well, for now.
I called Jeff Royer because this ticks me off. Everyone was made to believe that the utilities were there. Ivan thought that, and he said when Bella Vista was created, the city decided to end after so many hookups were put there because they didn't feel that with the deal with Alliant would work, where they would have enough homes built where they, within that 10-year period, where the money would come back to the city, or the city wouldn't end up paying. So that's where it was ended. Now, if we fund this pedestal, and then I think 6 lots, your lot plus 5 more, anything that's sold in the future by real estate people, they can honestly say that the undergrounds it's in place, electrical. But the south and as you bend around to the west, those aren't in place anymore. So I think what we need to do in the future with prospective purchasers of those lots is let them know that there is no electricity, and if that can be negotiated in the price, or the city will have to undergo this or forego this expense again. And I think I'll just make the motion right now that we as a city, we developed it, we need to put the electrical in there, and hopefully in 10 years have another house or 2 sold on one of those lots. I hate to. So you got a good, you paid a decent price for, in the beginning they wanted 15,000 minimum bids on those properties. But we promised utilities.
Mm-hmm.
So a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the request and for the city to pay for the hookups at Bella Vista. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising a hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Someone has to sign the contract for Alliant. Who would be in charge? George, you are doing it? Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, item V, consider and/or approve the proposal for interim city administrator.
We have the two applicants. And I think in talking to anything new, but I think one of them could not, had other commitments and couldn't get to it in a timely manner.
That is correct.
Dick Shred came by this morning and went over a few things with me, and after looking at it, he is familiar with our software, but he doesn't like it. And he said that allowing himself time to learn our software and actually put the budget together does not fit into the time allowance that we have to get it done. So he pretty much withdrew himself from.
Two things. He turned right around and said, if you can get Corey, you can get Corey. He's good. That was the other competitor. However, I was reminded today that we had two other people who had applied previously, and so they should also be considered.
Are they still willing?
Yes. Well, one I know is because they called me and said that they wanted to be considered.
Do we need to wait to fleece all of them, or
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
do we need to wait then to ask the other, or?
I know what I'd do. It's a very timely thing. Joyce needs the help, she needs it now. The one that I would consider to be the number one candidate is currently the Sheraton administrator. He actually has the job over there and is doing the job. He's a young guy, he's full of fire, and he's very experienced. Sheraton kind of went through what we kind of went through. And so he's had real experience in relation to what we're looking for specifically. And his name is Corey Goodenow. He said he would, well, he's not guaranteeing, but he would put in 40 hours a week. He's going to do that in the evenings and on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, that's going to take a lot of extra from Joyce. But since Joyce is the one that has to work with him and has to accomplish the goals of meeting the federal and state guidelines and deadlines, I would ask her opinion.
So if we end up with a Sheraton guy, then if he's working nights, Joyce will have to work nights overtime then?
I'm here till 8 or
That's what
8:30
I'm
every
saying,
night
so
anyway.
we're still
So
be
I
paying
would,
overtime plus
if
the
I'm gonna
50
be
an hour
here
just
working on the
because
budget, I'd like to have somebody that knows what they're doing here with me to actually
Help lead you through it.
get it put together and get it done. We've got as you can see by the letter, Steve Gertis, our auditor, is the one that recommended Corey. Steve knows the urgency of getting the budget done.
Like I said, this Dick Shred said he would withdraw in favor of Corey.
Yes, Dick Shred knows Corey, and he was very impressed with him, said he would do a really good job. We've got, Steve Gertis said at the latest, we need to get the budget, the public hearing for the notice, or for the public, the notice for a public hearing for the budget needs to be published by the 28th, no later than the 1st, in order to have a special meeting on the 11th, so that we can get to the budget to the auditor by the 15th of March. So,
If Corey were hired, Joyce, could you do that?
I think so. I've got, a lot of the expenditures are already worked up. There's still a process of going through re-estimating for the fiscal year 13. That still needs to be done.
And budget adjustment.
And he would help with our budget amendments for May.
Yes, he
Yeah.
will, yeah.
So, well, I think if you feel if you feel good that these, this timeframe will work, I would make the motion that we approach Corey and offer him that temporary position
Okay.
as soon as he can.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Randy, thank you. There's a motion and a second to offer the interim part-time city administrator position to Corey Goodenow of Sheraton. Any further discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Very good, thank you. You will be notified. Okay. In a timely way, the next item, W, is Resolution 2013-31, setting a time and date for a public hearing to approve the proposed fiscal year 14 budget. That is suggested as 3/11, March 11th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the date and time would be 5:30 on March 11th. Roll call vote, please.
Brand,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Lind,
Aye.
Markison,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Unanimous. Next item, consider request of Joyce Davis to carry over 62 hours of vacation. Carry over 62 hours of vacation.
I'll make a motion that we approve that with the stipulation she hasn't used that in 6 months.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. Okay, we are at the closed session for Iowa Code Section 21.5. We will also have a roll call vote on this. We are asking for a closed session to purchase real estate.
Motion to run a closed session.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to come into closed session for the purpose of discussion of particular real estate where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of governmental body. You'd have to pay for that property. All in favor of the motion signify by saying, no, I've got to have a roll call vote.
Brand,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Lind,
Aye.
Markison,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Once again, thank you. For closed session, we will ask everyone who is here not involved with what we'll be discussing, and that will be real estate purchase for the purpose of the airport. Airport personnel, I'd like to stay, airport board, I'd like to stay. Thank you all for coming.